Right. Coming to the types of parts classification and coding system, there are many systems. OPID's classification system is the mostly used system, which is invented by the University of Aachen in Germany, which is a non-proprietary, a chain type structure, and BRISC system, which is invented in BRISC bin inclusive, and CODE, CODE is a manufacturing data system, and CutPlan is a invented by Medcut Associates, and D-Class is invented by Brigham Young University, and multi-class system, which is invented by Organization for Industrial Research, which follows an hierarchical or decision tree coding structure, and part analog system, which is invented by Lawrence and Company. So these are the major types of coding system, out of which the OPID's classification system is the most commonly used coding system throughout the world. So coming to the OPID's classification system, this is the most common and widely used system. This system was developed by H. OPIDS of the University of Aachen, Germany. So the OPID coding system uses the following digit sequence. You can see it consists of 13 digits. The first 5 digits 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 represents the form code. It is called as a form code. And the second 4 digits 6, 7, 8, 9 indicates the supplementary code, and the last 4 digits A, B, C, D are referred to the secondary code. You can see the first 5 digits are called as form code. It describes the primary design attributes of the part, such as external shape, example rotational versus rectangular, and machined features, examples holes, threads, gear teeth, etc. The next 4 digits 6, 7, 8, 9 are called as supplementary code. It describes some of the attributes that would be of use in the manufacturing, for example dimensions, work material, starting shape, and accuracy. The extra 4 digits A, B, C, D are refers to as the secondary code. So it is intended to identify the production operation type and sequence. So the secondary code can be designed by the user firm to serve its own particular needs. So the ABCD can be, as I told earlier, ABCD can be customized based on the needs of the customer. So they can use these 4 codes for identifying their uniqueness. So this is the detailed structure which illustrates a OPID's coding system. So you can see the digit 1 represents the part class, digit 2 represents the main shape, digit 3 represents the rotational machining, digit 4 represents the plane surface machining, digit 5 represents the additional holes for teeth and forming. So as I said earlier, the first 5 digits are called as a form code. So it consists of 5 different digits. The first digit represents the part class. You can see the subcategories of these parts class. So it is categorized from 0 to 9, in which the first 5 digits represent the rotational parts based on their length to diameter ratios. If a component has length to diameter which is lesser than or equal to 0.5, then it is coded as 0. If a component whose length to diameter ratio lies in between 0.5 to 0.3, then it is coded as 1. So like that it goes on. Okay, so if it is a non-rotational component where instead of L by B ratio, it is categorized by A by B ratios. A by B is lesser than or equal to 3, then it is kept at, then it is coded as 6. So if you go to the second digit, the main shape, if it is an external shape element, so based on this external shape elements, if their length to diameter ratio varies like this, they can be coded as 0, 1 or 2. So the digit 3 represents the rotational machining, that is internal shape element. And the fourth digit represents the plane surface machining. If any plane machining is to be carried out in the component, then they are coded based on the length by diameter ratios. If they are not having any surface machining carried out, then it will be coded as 0. So additional holes, teeth and forming is categorized in the digit 5. So based on this, the components are coded. So the last 4 digits, the next 4 digits, for example 6, 7, 8, 9 is called a supplementary code. As I said earlier in the previous slide, there are 9 digits. First 5 digits represent the form code, the second 4 digits represent the supplementary code, and the last 4 digits are secondary code. So 6, 7, 8, 9 is the supplementary code, where 6th digit represents the dimension of the component, 7th digit represents the material of the component, and the 8th digit represents the original shape of raw materials, and the 9th digit represents the accuracy of the component. Okay, so this slide gives more detailed about the 5 digits, first 5 digits for rotational parts in the OPITS system. You can see. So digit 1 represents the part class, where the L by D ratio is lesser than or equal to 5. It is categorized as coded as 0. If it is L by D is in between 0.5 to 0.5 to 3, then it is categorized as 1. So it goes on like this. Okay, so in the previous case it is just indicated as external shape elements, but here it is detailed. You can see if it is smooth and has no shape elements, then it is coded as 0. If it is having a it is stepped at one end or smooth, then it is categorized in this manner. Okay, no shape elements are there, then it is coded as 1. If a thread is there, if the component is stepped at one end, and if it is having a thread, then it is coded as 2. If it is stepped at one end and it has a functional groove, then it is coded as 3. It has no shape elements, then it is coded at 4. You can see the component is stepped at both ends, but it has no shape elements, then it is coded as 4. If it is stepped at both ends and it has thread, then it is coded as 5. And like this, the components should be coded based on their structure. So the illustrative example is given in the next slide. We can see this. So this table is very important. So you have to mug up this table in order to identify or you have to make a coding of a particular drawing. If a drawing is given to you, based on these categories you have to code the part. We are having 2 different examples. If a code is given, then you have to write the explanation of that. If a component is given, then you have to write a code for that one. You can see the illustrative examples in the forthcoming slides. Okay, this is the example 1, where a drawing is given for you and you have to code this component. So given the rotational part design below, determine the form code in the OPITS parts classification and coding system. You can see this is the component, which is a step turned component, which is having a through hole, and it is threaded at one end. Okay, these are the various dimensions it is given. So the L by D ratio is very important to identify the first category. You know, we have seen the detail of the first 5 digits which represent the form code. Okay, so the question is asked, determine the form code in the OPITS parts classification and coding system. So we have to identify the form code. So the first one is which illustrates the length to diameter ratio. So length we have to calculate. The length is given as 1.5. Okay, you assume that it is a 1.5 centimeter or millimeter, whatever may be. Okay, so the L by D ratio is 1.5 divided by 1. So L by D ratio is 1.5. It comes under the category where it is lesser than 3, 0.1 to 3. You can refer the previous table. Based on that, the code is given. It falls and comes under the digit 1, that is first category. Code is 1 for that one. So second one is external shape element, both ends stepped with a screw thread at one end. So as I told you earlier, you have to identify the components in which it comes under which category. Both ends stepped with a screw thread at one end. So it comes, the digit 2 is, it comes under category 5. So the second digit is coded as 5. So the third one is internal shape elements. A part contains a through hole. You can see the part contains a through hole. So the code corresponding to that is 1. So the digit 3 is coded as 1. So you can see the plane surface machining. There are no machining mentioned here. So no machining is done. So the digit 4 is 0. and auxiliary holes, gear teeth, etc. is none. So the digit 5 is coded as 0. So the form code for the particular component in OPID system is 15100. Right. This is the second example. You can see a part is coded as 20801. Now we have to explain what is 2, what is 0, what is 8, what is 0 and what is 1. So based on the OPID's classification system, the first digit represents the part class based on the L by D ratio. So where is 2? 2 lies here. L by D ratio is greater than or equal to 3. So 2 represents L by D ratio is greater than or equal to 3. So we are writing this one. The parts has L by D ratio greater than or equal to 3. And 0, this is a digit 2. So we have to see this. Refer this one. External shape elements. So where is 0? So here is 0. So it is. So here is 0. So smooth, no shape elements. So no shape elements. External shape, no shape, and external shape elements are there. So it is coded as 0. Coming to the third digit, it is 8. You can come to this one. So we have to see where is 8. So it is operating thread. Okay, so the 8th digit is coded as operating thread. So we are writing the explanation as operating thread. And the 4th digit is coded as 0. So coming to this one, here 0 is here. So no surface machining is carried out. So it is coded as 0. And the last digit is 1. Part is axial. So you can see 1. You can see axial, not on pitch circle diameter. So we have to write this explanation there. Okay, part is axial and not on pitch circle diameter. So in this manner we have to identify the OPID's classification and coding system. Okay, if a component is given, you have to code it according to the external shape elements, the part class, and the internal shape elements, plane surface machining, and auxiliary holes and gear teeth. If the code is given, then you have to elaborate and write the code for which it is meant for. Right. The next type of coding system is an MI class system, MI class coding system. So among the different types of coding system, OPID's classification system is easy to identify, easy to understand. So it is used almost throughout all the countries. But these are the other coding system. For illustration purpose, I have included this type of coding system. So this is the coding system which is called as Metal Institute Classification System, which was developed by Organization for Applied Science and Research in Netherlands in 1960s and 1970s to develop a system for both design and manufacturing needs for Organization for Industrial Research. So MI class was developed for standardizing the engineering drawings, retrieve the drawings based on classification, standardize process routing, automate process planning. So MI class is an expandable hybrid code system of up to 30 digits where the first 12 digits have been standardized. So the system can be enlarged to 30 digits to cover any classification attributes decided by the user. So in MI class system, the digits 1, 2, 3, 4 indicates the basic form. So there are many digits, 21 digits are there. So the first 4 digits indicates the basic form. The next 4 digits represents the primary dimensions. The next 2 digits represents the tolerance. The digit 11 and 12 represents the material. The digits 13 and 14 represents the lot size. And digits 15, 16 represents secondary dimensions. The digits 17 and 18 represents general manufacturing operations. The digits 19, 20, 21 represents supplementary design and manufacturing information and so on. So the next coding system is multi-class coding system. This is also a coding system developed by Organization for Industrial Research. It has many digits. So the first 21 digits are shown here. The first digit 1 represents the prefix code, which represents a machine parts sheet metal code. The next 3 digits represents the basic form, where the second digit represents the round part, all dimensions visible from one end. The third digit represents one machined OD visible from each end and groove, and the third digit represents 0, where it represents no inside diameter. Likewise, the other digits are represented in the multi-class coding system, as we have discussed in the previous other two types of coding systems. The next type of part family classification is production flow analysis. Till now we have discussed two types of systems where we can identify the part families. One is visual inspection system, second one is parts classification and coding system. The third and important coding system is production flow analysis. It is a quantitative type coding system. So PFA, production flow analysis, is a method for identifying part families and associated machine groupings that uses the information contained on process plan rather than on part drawings. The work parts with identical or similar process plans are classified into part families. These families can then be used to form a logical machine cells in a group technology layout. So the procedure in the production flow analysis must begin by defining the scope of the study, which means deciding on the population of parts to be analyzed. Once this decision is made, then the procedure in PFA contains the following steps. So these are the various steps in the production flow analysis. The first step is data collection. The minimum data required in the analysis are the part number and operation sequence, which is contained in the shop documents called root sheets or operation sheets or similar name. So each operation is usually associated with a particular machines, and so determining the operation sequence also determining the machine sequence. You can see the illustration of a workpiece, which is shown in the figure. It gives the details of the dimensions of the part which is to be machined and the workpiece number, part number. You can see this is an example of an operation sheet. So it gives the entire details of processing the part. You can see it contains details like the part name, which is shown as threaded shaft, 1340 cold rolled steel, and the part number is mentioned here, and the operation numbers are mentioned as 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90. So each and every operation number represents the name of the operation, the face of the bar, center drill end, cutoff tool, 3 of 7 bar 14 length, face to length, etc. Right? So the machine tool which is going to be used to process the machine is engine lathe. The cutting tool what is going to be used is combination of central drill, parting tool, right hand facing tool, combination central drill, and so on. So the parameters, cutting parameters are given here as cutting speed, feed, and depth of cut are mentioned here, and the remarks are all shown here. So the entire details which are required to process the particular part family is shown in the form of a operation sheet. This, the other name of operation sheet is a root sheet. So you can see this is the root sheet which provides the information regarding the parts taken through the job shop, as we have already seen this one in the traditional job shop layout. So the main purpose of production flows analysis is to reduce these kind of layouts into a group technology cell. We have to reduce the number of movements of the parts to each and every station and facilitate the parts to be produced in a group technology cell or cellular layout, so that the particular minimum number of machines can process many number of parts according to their similarities in their design and the manufacturing. So this root sheet gives information of the material flow. So you can see this. This is a traditional job shop layout which we have already discussed. So the second step in the production flow analysis is sortation of the process routings. So in these steps, the parts are arranged into groups according to the similarities of their process routings. To facilitate these steps, all operations or machines included in the shop are reduced to code numbers. For each part, the operation codes are listed in the order in which they are performed. So a sortation procedure is then used to arrange the parts into packs. We call it as a packs, which are nothing but a group of parts with identical routings. So some packs may contain only one part number, indicating the uniqueness of the processing of that particular part. So other packs will contain many parts, and these will constitute a part family. So this is how we have sort the part families and the process routings. So you can see this is a table which illustrates the possible code numbers indicating operations and or machines for sortation in the production flow analysis. It is a simplified code. It is given here. For example, the operation or machine. Okay, if the first operation is a cutoff, the code given for cutoff is 01. If the operation is performed on lathe, then the coding is given as 02. Turret lathe, it is given as 03. Milling, it is given as 04. Drill manual, it is given as 05. NC drill means the code is given as 06, and grinding means it is given as 07. The third step in the production flow analysis is the process used for each pack are then displayed in a production flow chart. This is very important chart. So the construction of this chart is very important in developing a group technology layout. So the chart is nothing but a tabulation of the process or machine code numbers for all the part packs. So in the recent group technology literature, the PFA chart has been referred to by the term called as part machine incident matrix. This PFA chart, that is the matrix in which we are grouping the machines and the parts, is called as part machine incident matrix. So in this matrix, the entries have a value xij is equal to 1 or 0. For example, the part number 1 may be processed by machine A, machine C and machine D, and for it may not be processed by machine B. If it is being processed by A, C and D, if it is not processed by B, then B has no entry. Okay, the machine B for the part number 1 has no entry, or it will have a 0. If it is having a 0, then it is not being, the part number 1 is not being processed by machine B. If it is indicated as 1, then it is processed by the machine B. Okay. So a value of xij is equal to 1 indicates that the corresponding part I requires processing on machine J, and xij is equal to 0 indicates that no processing of component I is accomplished on machine J. So for clarity in presenting the matrix, the zeros are often indicated as blank entries in the table as I mentioned here. You can see this is a part machine incident matrix. As I said earlier, you can see, for example, the x-axis represents the parts A to I, and y-axis represents the machines 1 to 7. For example, if you take part A, it is processed in machine 1 and machine 5, whereas the remaining machines are let free. Okay, either we can mention 0 here or we can leave it a blank. Similarly, the part number B is processed by machine number 4 and machine number 7. Part number C is processed by machine number 1. Part number C is processed by machine number 1 and machine number 6. Part number D is processed by machine number 1 alone. The others are left blank. Part number E is processed by machine number 2 and 3. Part number F is processed by machine number 4 and 7. Part number G is processed by 1. Part number H is processed by machine number 1 and 5. And part number I is processed by machine number 2, 3 and 6. You can see this part incident matrix gives us a clear picture on how many parts and how many machines are there and which part is being processed by which machine. Now our aim is to cluster, to bring all these together closer. Okay, since if you are processing a particular part in 2 machines, similarly another machine, for example A is processed by machine 1, B is also processed by machine 1, H is also processed by machine 1, means we have to bring it so closer so that this part can be processed in a particular machine. So the unnecessary movement can be avoided, the material handling can be reduced. So our main aim for developing a PFA chart is to reduce this part incident matrix in such a way that we have to cluster all the operations together, closer as much as possible. we will see that how we are doing that, performing the task in the coming slides. So the fourth step is, as I said earlier, it is cluster analysis. So from the pattern and the data in the PFA chart, related groupings are identified and rearranged into a new pattern that brings together packs with similar machine sequences. The blocks might be considered as possible machine cells. It is often the case that some packs do not fit into logical groupings. So these parts must be analyzed to see if a revised process sequence can be developed that fits into one of the groups. If not, these parts must continue to be fabricated through a conventional process layout. As I said earlier in the previous slide, so the parts are scattered and the machines in which it is being processed are also scattered. The main aim of production flow analysis is to bring all the similar machines and similar parts closer together in the form of a cluster. Okay, as said earlier, once we have brought closer, some may not fit in, some packs do not fit into a logical groupings. In that case, we have to try to revise this sequence, so we have to do many iterations as possible to bring everything closer. If not, okay, some may not fit into this pack, so if these are the cases, then these parts must continue to be fabricated through a conventional process layout instead of fitting it into the group technology layout. So you can see this is a part machine incident matrix after clustering. So we have seen a part incident matrix before clustering. Now you can see after doing many iterations. So this is an example how the part incident matrix looks like after clustering. You can see this one. So many, so this order also changed. The order of machines and the order of parts are also changed. You can see here. So you can see here the order of parts and the order of machines are also changed to bring all the entries closer together. You can see now 3 packs are available. Okay, you can see 3 packs. So some of the parts may not come into this pack. They may be present here, here, or here. In that case, we have to do some more iterations. If it is not possible, then we can leave that one and process it by means of a traditional process layout. This is how a part incident matrix looks after making a cluster. Based on this, we have to develop a cellular layout for processing the part number CEI in machine number 3 to 6. You can see this one. This is so we can form a one cell for these machines and these parts. Another cell, another cellular layout for this three parts and 2 machines. And you can see for processing FGB parts, we can use 2 machines. Within this we can complete. So instead of going for group of machines as we have discussed in the process type of layout, where all the lathes are arranged into a single cell in a single room, all milling machines, all drilling machines, all assembling stations together, put together, so unnecessary material movement can be eliminated by forming these clusters.